Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Midnight Rider Technology Studio. Always under continuous construction as we slowly but surely work towards having the whole studio setup done. Um, so yeah, I'll just kick right into it. Actually, first off, I do want to say something. I've got three people three different groups that have kind of sponsored this one. Um, the first one, and to me the most interesting out of them, just because it's falls into the stuff that I'm most interested in, is oh shoot! Now I suddenly can't think of the name of it. It's right here. There we go. Point up the link. May I Learn English? MAYI. May I Learn English? It's actually a English teaching system for non-English speaking children, particularly those with some of them just classic kids, no big deal, but also those that have autism, dyslexia, ADHD. So as you can imagine, I find this to be a very interesting, worthwhile Kickstarter. And actually, they're actually an Indiegogo campaign, so don't look for them on Kickstarter. Look for them on Indiegogo. In fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can look in the links in the bottom of the description, and they're on there. The second one is actually I want to buy this. I want to buy this. It's called ZFrameMax, which is I'm going to pull the link up here because I may have said the name wrong. ZMart, as in kind of like smart, ZMart Frame Max. What it is it's a frame that you can put up anywhere on any surface. You can put it on glass, or you can put it on. Wow, my phone's going nuts. You can put it on glass, you can put it on a wall, what have you, and project into it, or put it on a very large display. I want one of these. I want one of these really, and let me explain why. Because it turns it into a touchscreen interface. So what I really want is when First Geek Congregation gets moved into its final location, I want one of the Z frames, because then instead of having to have an interface here to go to the next thing, I literally will just touch the wall and switch slides during discussions or add content or what have you. It's basically a perfect solution for what I want. So I'm really happy to see this. A little expensive for the size I want, which is a 90-incher. Excuse me, a 70-incher. 70-incher was $450, I think it is, something like that. See how much it was. See how close it was. Yeah, because they have them all the way down to actually I can get it for $288 right now. Typically the large one is $429, but off the Indiegogo you can actually pick it up for $288. They have 88 of them available. Only 6 of them have been claimed so far. So that's a pretty awesome deal. So anyways, it's a really neat tech solution for doing some of the stuff I do. I wouldn't even mind having one here in the studio just for presentations. But the studio is not that large. I shouldn't really have to worry about that big of presentation sizes. And the final one is, and just to make sure that you understand, that is actually, instead of it was a Kickstarter, ZMartframeMax is actually also on Indiegogo. Again, if you're on YouTube, look in the description, or go to YouTube and look in the description, and you'll see the link to it right in there. And the final one is actually a clothing manufacturer. And I was like, hey, kind of cool. Hello? I got cut off. I'm not sure where I got cut off on that, but apparently YouTube lost connection just for a moment and then brought me back into it. So somewhere along the line, it lost it. The third and final Kickstarter / Indiegogo is for a clothing manufacturer, and what they're doing is mainly they're focused on men's fashions and things like briefs and boxer briefs and etc. Um, but the interesting part is what they're setting up to do is produce the clothing here in the United States and in Canada rather than overseas and ship it. They're trying for a very premium approach to everything. So yeah, anyways, it's that group is De La Commune. Um, and if you're on Kickstarter, this one's an actual Kickstarter, just search for underwear, t-shirts, and sweats, all one phrase, and you'll find them. Or, again, in the links, click it, check it out. Fun stuff there. So, yeah, anyways, on to the meat and potatoes of this, the reason why it exists. So real recently, I got into a conversation. Okay, now I'll admit, I got into the conversation because I really thoroughly pissed off a local set of web developers here when they did an advertisement on their Facebook fan page. They made some claims, and wow, seriously? Sorry, I'm watching this as I go along. For those that don't know, I typically set this up so that I have a combination of communication because it's a YouTube live event. And just like with First Geek Congregation, people can message me during the event. Message me during the event for comments and things like that, or they can join the YouTube Hangout or any number of things, Facebook, YouTube, Google Plus, and Twitter. So yeah, anyway, so it's high availability. So a lot of times during these things, I shouldn't say a lot of times. I have gotten messages during these things, and right now, actually, I've got a couple of messages that just come up. So, and none of them, however, anything important. And of course, a ton of retweets that I'm doing this. Anyways, so I got into this conversation, and like I said, I kind of pissed them off. And part of it was over, they said they're the longest that have been around in Wichita, the smallest in Wichita, et cetera, et cetera. Actually, I've been doing websites since 1999. I've been independently of any other job doing this sort of thing since 2003. So, yeah, I've been around a while. They hadn't been around nearly so long. And anyways, push comes to shove at the end. And we're all fine now. A comment that had been made in the middle of this discussion was, well, but websites aren't what you're known for. Well, what am I known for? I mean, I'm usually known for wearing a cool hat. I mean, really, I am known for wearing a cool hat. In fact, to the point that walking around, a lot of people have commented before that they don't hardly recognize me without a hat on. Yeah, sure. So I'm going to say that what I'm really known for is wearing a hat, looking cool. Okay, I'm known for wearing a hat, looking cool, may not actually be part of it. But, so what is the company known for? Well, Midnight Rider Technologies has been around since '99 because originally it was founded to do game development. Web development was never part of the original plan. What happened is providing support for companies and things like that, just little one-off gigs here and there. People asked me if I could do it for them. I'd already done websites by the time, including the company site. This is '99. Totally different field than it is now. You needed to know HTML. You needed to know all of these things. Nowadays, you install a CMS system like WordPress, and you don't really have to worry about a lot of the details, the fine-grained details of doing a website. A lot of that has been done for you. So, in fact, that's communications from one of the Kickstarters from the MAYI Learn English. Anyways, so it was supposed to all be about game development, but things get sidetracked. And also, at one time, I had some serious game development burnout. After 2006, I didn't want to touch games with a 10-foot pole. It wasn't so much the game development stuff. It was everything else around games that had gotten to me. I was a very large gamer, doing World of Warcraft being my biggest one, but also there's a whole LAN gaming center that I operated that did not go well. In fact, there's a whole book on that. If you've never heard of it before, it's The Story of Gamer Zone. It is one of the worst written books in history. But oddly enough, people who've read it enjoyed it. They usually, almost anybody who ends up getting a copy of it ends up getting a hold of me and asking more questions. It's actually very interesting. The market's changed since then. So it's used to be almost, the go-to book for what to expect is going to go wrong with the LAN gaming center without somebody telling you, oh, it's going to be awesome and da-da-da-da. No. At one time, it was almost guaranteed to fail. Nowadays, the market has changed enough that, like here in Wichita, we have a place called Battle Stations that's been around for a little bit now. We've also got Headshots, which is a bar and grill that does console games. So there's opportunities that work now, but back then it was a damn rough business. Anyways, and our mistakes, trust me, our mistakes did not help that at all. So anyways, well, I had to sit down and I had to look at it. See, I don't really do marketing. I teach other people how to do marketing, but I don't do it myself. There's very little need for it in the web development efforts because most of the time it's been referrals and things like that, not advertisements that's gotten me gigs. Of course, also I'm not drowning in gigs usually, so that might have been a hint that I should be doing more marketing, but I really just, it's not my thing. I don't enjoy it. I don't find it, I'd rather work than, and this is a thing for many geeks, I would rather work than do all the marketing. I usually refer to the analogy of cut bait or fish. Programmers would rather fish. Business guys a lot of times would rather fish. Cut bait in marketing. So yeah, I'm definitely a guy that likes to go fish, so to speak metaphorically. In fact, I can't stand fishing because I'm ADHD, and well, can you imagine me with a fishing pole and sitting in the middle of nowhere trying to be quiet? Doesn't work. Anyways, so yeah, so I had to look. What does the company website look like? What does it feature? Well, it's actually a hodgepodge of things. It talks about the industrial automation work that's been done. It talks about app development. It talks about web development. It talks about just a little bit of everything. It wasn't focused on any one thing. In fact, actually, game development was the lowest on the totem pole. So part of the many things that have been going on in the process, keep in mind, at the same time I'm working on trying to get 2 web dev projects finished, completed, and shipped. You can't see the board right now. Here, we'll take a look at the board. And yeah, it's not going to focus on it anyways. Oh well. If you've never seen it before, the overhead door acts as a whiteboard that has all of the, you done moving now? Okay. Acts as a to-do board. It's just my organization and planning system, which is hilarious to have a meeting in here with the overhead door up. And one of the projects I work with, we were making some notes. So I'm sitting here kind of on my tippy toes, writing on the overhead door so that we can keep notes on it. But anyways, so after looking at all this, the realization where I'm going with things is to stick in game development. Not only stick in game development, I founded the Kansas Game Developers Association to bring local developers together. I'm setting up to do internships with a local college, local community college, just all sorts of stuff. And a lot of the biggest things that I'm working with right now are game development topics. So, yeah. Why is it not focused on that? So, thus begins the new refocusing. To finally bring the company under one major focus. Now, I'm not going to get rid of the apps that are on the page. The website mentions them. In fact, right now, if you go visit it, the page is mostly broken. I'm not going to say it's completely broken, but it's mostly broken. Not a lot of stuff just not working at the moment, and that's fine. Things take time, unfortunately, and I can't devote all of my time just to doing this one thing, unfortunately. So slowly but surely, the website, just like the studio itself, gets cleaned up and directed the direction it needs to go. So yeah, hopefully we'll be unveiling that maybe say next week, week after. Includes features like forums for support and all the games themselves and to-dos and da-da-da-da. And the games themselves do have their own websites, like jumpmanforever.com has its own website dedicated to nothing more than Jumpman Forever, which handles distribution and things like that. It doesn't really do anything, though, for forums and support. Actually, I shouldn't say that. There actually is a bug board on there that handles a lot of the support questions, basically filing of issues and showing which issues have been addressed and which ones have been not addressed. But for the most part, the big core sets of functionality that I really want, the forums, things like that, are actually going to be over at midnightrider.com. As I slowly but surely get that up and running for something worthwhile. Getting this focused on a single thing, staying on a single topic, is going to be a lot easier, especially for something as old as Midnight Rider Technologies. The domain was registered back in 1999, so it's got an amazing longevity. So yeah, hopefully this works out very well. Now the kicker is, it doesn't really do anything for me per se. One of the reasons why the website's never been a priority, no matter what field it shows off on, is because it's not the main focus point of any marketing effort anyways. If I'm marketing Jumpman Forever, it's at jumpmanforever.com. If I'm marketing Crucible, it's breakthecrucible.com. If it's P3V3, which still isn't happening just yet, it happens over at its site. So it doesn't gain me anything in the short term, but in the long term, it's a really good idea. Retro Breaker, for instance, doesn't have its own home. The old games theoretically have a home there, but they don't actually appear on there. And the old games are relatively important because they are going to come back. Boulder Panic 3 will occur. That are it's going to possibly get a slight name change. It's supposed to be called Boulder Panic 3. Tile Panic, Flip Panic. Those games will come back at some point. Those are going to be one of those big things. And I don't see them as being large enough titles to have their own dedicated sites. I can understand Jumpman Forever will probably need to have its own site for distribution and such. Those other ones, man, those are just small fry stuff. I say that. Who knows? I have no idea how many copies Boulder Panic 3 would sell, for instance. There's still people who message me from time to time, curious whether or not I'm still planning on doing it. Or wanting, and I'm not kidding, wanting to re-download a copy of Boulder Panic 2 DX after having bought it back in 2001. That's pretty impressive. And the fact that I'll still give them a copy of it, I guess says something about how I view this whole situation. So for now, yeah, that's the big thing for tonight's blog. I've got a bunch of other things to talk about. As a matter of fact, this week is going to be really weird. I'm actually going to do this once a day for 7 days. Now, I'll admit I have a reason. For the next 7 days, I have a sponsor for it. Not that I'm making fantastic cash off this. In fact, yeah, that means that if it takes me an hour to do one podcast or one broadcast, yeah, I'm making about $3 a broadcast. But it's a good reason to go ahead and keep doing it. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I will finally change all the tech necessary to go back to doing the podcast the way, or the broadcast the way I want to, in that I will have a switching board for audio. We've used a software solution. I don't like the software solution. It produces too much lag in the audio. On the other hand, switching to a dedicated board will allow me to do all that. Plus, for instance, pull and feed from the Ouya setup over here. If I get really advanced, I can feed in the video and the audio into here, and all be good to go. In theory, that's not been tried. The goal is to have that happen anyways, mainly for the work in progress videos, which I have been very delinquent in doing for the Midnight Rider Technologies channel. Those are highly important. They're a marketing tool. Just ain't been doing them. Mainly because I don't like showing off I don't mind showing off the studio with the blog, but for a professional game development company, man, it just doesn't look that good. So, yeah, we'll figure out how to change that all. Anyways, so I'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy. Be sure to check out those links, seriously. Especially May I Learn English. It's kind of a cool idea. And if it stops the broadcast,